they have nothing left to do.
Okay, let's talk about another poll. This one comes out this week showing a majority of Americans, 51%, now do believe that President Trump did something illegal. Another 27% think he did something at least unethical. So how do you overcome that perception with jurors? That's the first step, and also with voters.
Yeah. I think with the facts. So let's talk about the facts, which the American people need to know. In that indictment, the new superseding indictment that came out, which they tried to get another headline for President Trump, was facts that said that President Trump did what? What was the obstruction of justice? Because no tapes were deleted. He turned them over. He cooperated, as he always does. But they would like the American public to believe in these bogus indictments, that there are some facts that say that President Trump was obstructing justice. When he has his turn in court and when we get to file our papers, you will see that every single video, every single surveillance tape that was requested was turned over. If President Trump didn't want something turned over, I assure you that is something that could have been done. But he never would act like that.
Okay,
he is the most ethical American I know.
Let's talk about the indictment, because you bring this up, and there are allegations now that he, with a couple of other employees at Mar-a-Lago, had conversations. There are allegations about trying to get rid of surveillance video once it was under subpoena. So let me read from the indictment. This is the new superseding indictment. D. Oliveira, the property manager there at Mar-a-Lago, told Trump employee 4 that, quote, the boss wanted the server deleted. This is where the surveillance video was. Trump employee 4 responded that he would not know how to do that and that he did not believe he had the rights to do that. Trump employee 4 told D. Oliveira that D. Oliveira would have to reach out to another employee who was a supervisor of security for Trump's business organization. D. Oliveira then insisted to Trump employee 4 that, quote, the boss wanted the server deleted and asked, what are we going to do? You rightly say that the tapes were turned over. I mean, they're in custody of the Justice Department. But the question is, was there an attempt to try to make sure that didn't happen?
Well, let's be clear. If there was an attempt by somebody who lives in a home, take out President Trump, who owns a company, he owns it, he owns the IT, he pays for all these employees. If there was an attempt for him to not turn over documents, or he wanted something deleted, do you not think that that's something he couldn't have gotten done? Let's just use common sense.
Does it sound
like the American
there was
public forgets to use common sense?
I mean, that's the allegation, is that he did try to talk to these employees, and that these employees said, we may have to talk to someone else. I don't know that I can even do that.
Shannon, I know the facts, and the facts are when President Trump gets a subpoena, it goes to the organization turns it over. That is what actually happened. I've been an attorney for the president during this whole process, and I can assure you that that is not the case.
Okay, well, innocent until proven guilty. He will have his day in court, and we will watch as that plays out. Alina, thank you for joining us again.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Okay, now to our legal panel. George